There is a lot of buzz these days worldwide, especially in the Arab world, about a film called Goat Life, which is referred to in Arabic as Hayat al-Ma'iz. Although this film is available on Netflix, it is not being shown here in Saudi Arabia. Perhaps the reason is that the true story on which India based this film has another positive aspect that was not depicted in the film. I haven't seen the movie, but I have watched some clips, read reviews, and heard the story. Today, I will share with you the complete original story. This incident was narrated by a Saudi man on a channel 3 years ago, though the film has been made only recently. The story took place in 1991 in the Saudi city of Khafji, which is in the eastern province and has Dammam as its nearest international airport. The incident goes as follows. An Indian man named Najeeb came to Saudi Arabia on a company visa. At that time, he was a Hindu, and the name Najeeb was given to him later after he converted to Islam. During that period, mobile phones didn't exist, and language barriers made communication difficult, especially for first-time visitors. Sometimes, friends, sponsors, or companies would forget or be unable to pick someone up from the airport. Najeeb's company did not come to pick him up from the airport. He didn't know which city the company was in. Meanwhile, a Saudi citizen attempted to communicate with him. Naturally, neither of them understood the other's language. The Saudi man might have thought Najeeb was his worker or intentionally tried to take him along. Only God knows. Najeeb ended up going with him. This Saudi man took Najeeb to his livestock farm. In Saudi Arabia, it is common for people who raise sheep, goats, and camels to live far out in the desert, away from populated areas, with their tents and barns. These places are often very remote. Najeeb was taken there and put to work herding animals. Due to the language barrier, nothing could be communicated clearly. In short, Najeeb spent 5 years away from his home in the desert, herding animals without pay, surviving on minimal food, and enduring these conditions. After 5 years, Najeeb found an opportunity, struck his sponsor on the head with an iron rod, and somehow managed to escape. It was later discovered that the sponsor died from the blow. Najeeb reached a road where a kind person picked him up and took him to a town or village. Someone informed the police and he was arrested. A case was filed in court. Najeeb was ordered to pay a blood money, diyat, of 170,000 riyals to the deceased's son. If he couldn't pay, he would have to serve 5 years in prison and face the death penalty. However, Najeeb had no money, so he was sent to prison for 5 years. This case and Najeeb's story gradually spread among the local people. It took considerable time and effort to campaign for Najeeb's release. When the local Saudis heard the whole story and read the court's verdict, they became active in securing Najeeb's release. At that time, the blood money was a large amount, which no single person could pay. After much effort, the amount was finally collected over several years. People went to the son of Najeeb's sponsor, took him to the prison, and began the process of presenting the blood money to the convicted person. In Saudi Arabia, the murderer is brought before the victim's family for the blood money settlement. The sponsor's son, after so many years, had softened his stance and realized the injustice done to Najeeb by his father. He said, "Although you killed my father, I acknowledge the injustice done to you by him. Therefore, I return this money to you as compensation for the wrong you suffered at my father's hands, and I hope you will forgive him." When Najeeb was released from prison, the same Saudis who had worked for his release gave him some more money. Najeeb asked them, "Are you people Muslims?" They replied, "Alhamdulillah." "Why do you ask?" Najeeb then asked, "Was my sponsor also a Muslim?" They understood why he was asking this. They replied, "We Muslims have both good and bad people among us." It is said that Najeeb, moved by the kindness of these people and the behavior of his sponsor's son, converted to Islam and then returned to India. So this is the complete story that a Saudi man narrated 3 years ago. You can find it on YouTube in Arabic. India has made a film that tells only part of the story. The point is that such incidents have happened, and maybe still do, but it would be very wrong to judge the entire Saudi society based on them.